Summer's calling, and shackshop.us has you covered. Dive into hot sales on ladies' swimsuits, sleek, stylish, and perfect for pool or beach. Stay connected and on trend with smartwatches that track your every move. Explore the depths with underwater drones and reach new heights with our flying drones. Adventure starts here. Hurry, these deals won't last. Shop now at shackshop.us and make this season unforgettable. Shackshop.us, where adventure meets style.
A nation in transition. When journalist Eyder Peralta stepped off a plane in Caracas recently, he immediately sensed something different about Venezuela. For years, the South American nation had been defined by economic collapse, political repression, and a deeply entrenched authoritarian government led by Nicolás Maduro. But now, just months after the Venezuelan president was captured in a dramatic U.S. operation, the mood on the ground appeared to be shifting. The signs began the moment Peralta arrived at the airport. Multilingual signs written not only in Spanish, but also in Russian, Arabic, and Chinese hinted at the country's complex geopolitical past. Those languages reflected the foreign alliances that Maduro's government had built during years of tension with the United States and Western powers. Yet outside the airport, another reality emerged. According to Peralta, ordinary Venezuelans told him they felt something they had not experienced in years: relief. Many described the sensation as though a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. Streets that once fell silent. For much of the past decade, open political dissent in Venezuela carried enormous risks. Under Maduro's government, protests were frequently met with police crackdowns, arrests, and allegations of human rights abuses. Opposition leaders were jailed or forced into exile. Independent media faced censorship and intimidation. But during Peralta's visit, the atmosphere appeared markedly different. He reported witnessing public demonstrations taking place openly in the streets of Caracas. Activists gathered outside government buildings. Opposition groups organized meetings. Citizens spoke out against the government in ways that would have been almost unimaginable just months earlier. For the first time in a long time, there are street protests, Peralta said during a radio interview. These gatherings were not just symbolic. Many demonstrators were calling for sweeping changes, including the release of political prisoners who had been detained during years of political turmoil. Voices once silenced. One of the most striking encounters during Peralta's trip involved a man named Edward Ocariz. Ocariz had previously been imprisoned for opposing the Venezuelan government. According to the journalist, he had experienced firsthand the harsh consequences of speaking out against Maduro's administration. Yet during their meeting in Caracas, Ocariz displayed a confidence that seemed to reflect the country's changing political environment. Standing openly in public, he criticized the government and mocked officials who had once held immense power. "They call us traitors," he said, according to Peralta, "but look at them now." Ocariz acknowledged that foreign intervention in Venezuela was controversial and complicated. However, he also believed that the removal of Maduro had created a moment of opportunity for the country. For the first time in years, critics of the government were speaking freely in public spaces without immediately fearing arrest. The operation that changed everything. The turning point came in early January 2026. In a move that stunned the world, U.S. forces launched an operation that resulted in the capture of Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. Both were transported to the United States to face federal charges including narco-terrorism and drug trafficking conspiracy. American prosecutors had accused Maduro of participating in a network known as the Cartel of the Suns, allegedly working with international criminal organizations to traffic cocaine into the United States. Maduro has denied the charges and pleaded not guilty in U.S. federal court. The operation sparked intense global debate. Supporters argued that Maduro had long ruled Venezuela as a corrupt authoritarian leader responsible for widespread suffering. Critics, however, described the operation as a violation of Venezuelan sovereignty and international law. Regardless of the legal and political controversies, the removal of Maduro dramatically reshaped Venezuela's political landscape. A delicate power shift. Following Maduro's capture, Venezuela entered a transitional period. Political leaders and institutions began attempting to re-establish governance while navigating intense international scrutiny. Diplomatic negotiations resumed between Caracas and Washington. The United States also moved to re-establish certain diplomatic and economic relations with Venezuela. At the same time, Venezuelan society began testing the boundaries of newfound freedoms. Public debates returned, opposition leaders resurfaced, activists once again organized political gatherings. For many citizens, the changes felt surreal. Economic stakes, oil and minerals. Beyond politics, Venezuela's vast natural resources have become central to the country's future. The nation holds some of the largest oil reserves in the world. It may also possess significant deposits of rare earth minerals, materials essential for electronics, renewable energy technologies, and modern military equipment.
During a recent visit to Venezuela, U.S. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum met with officials to discuss potential partnerships involving mineral extraction and energy development. Rare earth elements are critical components in everything from smartphones and laptops to electric vehicles and advanced defense systems. Currently, China dominates global production of many of these materials. American policymakers believe Venezuela could become a strategic partner in diversifying supply chains. If those resources are successfully developed, Venezuela could potentially become a key player in the global technology economy. Smiles and skepticism. Peralta reported seeing many smiling faces during his visit to Caracas. Some residents expressed cautious optimism that their country might finally be entering a new chapter. But the optimism is tempered by uncertainty. Venezuela's economy remains fragile after years of hyperinflation, shortages, and declining oil production. Millions of Venezuelans have emigrated in recent years, creating one of the largest migration crises in the Western Hemisphere. Rebuilding the country's institutions, economy, and international relationships will likely take years. The global implications. The events unfolding in Venezuela have implications far beyond its borders. The country sits at the center of a complex geopolitical rivalry involving the United States, China, Russia, and regional powers in Latin America. For years, Maduro's government maintained close ties with Moscow and Beijing. Now, Washington is seeking to reshape those relationships. Some analysts believe Venezuela could become a testing ground for a new approach to foreign policy, one that blends military action, economic diplomacy, and political pressure. Others warn that external influence could complicate the country's path toward genuine democratic reform. A nation watching its future. As Venezuela navigates this historic transition, its people remain at the center of the story. The protests witnessed by journalists like Eyder Peralta are more than political events. They represent a society rediscovering the ability to speak openly. Whether those freedoms endure will depend on decisions made in the months and years ahead. For now, the atmosphere in Caracas reflects both hope and uncertainty. But as one Venezuelan told Peralta during his visit, for the first time in a long time, people feel like they can breathe again.